Thank you to everybody joining us for the Gravity Payments How to Become a Small Business Champion webinar. My name is Bobby Powers. I'm the head of learning and development at Gravity. And we also have a couple other individuals from our team, Matt Sockaway and Blaze Smith, that'll be jumping on later on and introducing themselves and a little bit about what they do for the company. So this entire webinar and really this Small Business Champion program came out of the wake of COVID-19. So as the coronavirus has been sweeping through the US and impacting the small business climate, there have been a lot of different companies that have been reaching out to us and finding out what they can do to better compete in this different landscape that we've never seen before. And also we've had a lot of individual people reaching out to us, just consumers and people that are interested in Gravity's mission of standing up for small businesses. And those individuals have been reaching out asking, how can we help out? How can we help Gravity? How can we help small businesses? And so we decided to put together what we're calling the Small Business Champion Program. Some of you maybe have already signed up for this program and you're joining this webinar to learn a little bit more about the program and some of the things that we offer as a company. Some of you, maybe this is the first time that you're hearing about the program. Regardless, welcome, and we hope to answer all those questions as we go. But basically this program at its core, this is a referral program. This is a chance for individuals to pass along names of businesses that they think could benefit from working with Gravity. And if there's a good mutual fit there that we can help that company out, then we will pass along a $200 referral bonus that will either go to you as the referrer, or if you choose, you can donate that back to the business that you helped out by getting them signed up with Gravity and pass along that $200 of savings to that company. So I want to walk through the agenda of what we're talking about today. So here is a brief highlight of some of the things we'll cover. Also, if there's anything specific that you want to cover that we don't directly get to, type in the Q&A chat window at any point in time. So within the Zoom dialog box, you should see at the bottom of your screen, there's a button that says Q&A. You can type your question there at any point in time as we're going. We have a couple people that are on the line that will be helping field those questions. And if it's a question that's actually pertinent for the entire group on this call, we'll be taking all of those together at the very end and going through those questions as a group. So please type those as we go, and we want to make sure everyone gets answers to the questions that they have today. So we'll dive into a quick overview of how Gravity helps small businesses. To tee that up, we'll take a couple minutes just talking a little bit about Gravity's background, how we started as a company, why we're passionate about small business. Then we'll transition to talking specifically about the Small Business Champions program and how it works to pass along referrals. We'll share a few tips about how to ask for referral business with any businesses that you know and equip you with some details about how Gravity might be able to help them out. And then we'll explain the process of after you provide a referral, what happens? What happens for you? How much do you know throughout the process of that referral moving through Gravity? And then also what happens to the business that you referred and how can we take care of them with our white glove service? So that's an overview of the landscape of what we're covering today. And then, like I mentioned, we'll end with questions. So we've carved out about half of this session will be just for the Q&A portion. So we really want to spend a while discussing that at the end. So Gravity started back when our founder and CEO, Dan Price, was just a teenager. So Dan was passionate about music and he got together with a group of his high school buddies and he was playing at a local small coffee shop outside of Boise, Idaho, where he grew up. And Dan got to know the business owner at this coffee shop called Moxie Java. Her name was Heather. And Dan and his friends got to know Heather and a little bit about her story as they played music gigs in her coffee shop. And initially he was just attracted to learn about Heather's story because she was a business owner that cared about him as an individual person, cared about him as a high school band player that wanted to basically just do some gigs around town. And so he started to get to know Heather and he was really shocked at some of the things he found out about the small business culture and about some of the things that Heather was faced with as an entrepreneur. So he found out that there are 4 big fees that Heather had to pay as an entrepreneur. And he was a little surprised as to those fees. The first couple of fees wouldn't surprise anyone. The biggest one that she had to pay was wage costs. Second one was the cost of goods sold of anything that went into the coffee that they were making and the bakery goods that they passed along to their consumers. Third biggest cost that she faced was the rent for their building. And Dan thought, okay, all those make sense. And then she said, the fourth biggest cost that I have as a business owner is credit card processing fees. And Dan's ears perked up a little bit and he said, tell me more about that. And he got to know a little bit more about Heather's business. And through that knowledge, got to know a little bit more about what it's like to be a small business owner and how big companies tend to take advantage of all the small businesses that they have through credit card processing fees. And he learned about the credit card industry. So here's what he learned starting out in the credit card industry and asking questions of Heather, that business owner. He learned that 3 things stand out about credit cards. They generally come with really, really high fees, and business owners tend to not understand those fees. They have non-transparent pricing. Business owners get charged for prices that they have no idea why that's showing up on their statement, and that's adding to their overall credit card costs. And then oftentimes these business owners were getting horrible service from their credit card processing companies. So Dan heard those 3 things and he said, I bet there's a better way to do it. And he started to learn a little bit more about how the credit card industry works. And he created a company to try to help out. And he learned that this is how the credit card fees work. The lion's share of the fees are called interchange fees. We won't spend a ton of time unpacking these, but basically these are the fees that go to the bank that issued the credit card. So think about Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Capital One issues cards. Any of those big companies that issue credit cards, they get the lion's share of the credit card fees in interchange. Then the next sliver, the sliver in red, is the card brand fees. And that's a big chunk of fees too. That goes to the card companies like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Amex. And then the last slice is processing fees. And this is the part that if you're anything like me before I was at Gravity, you probably have never even heard of. You don't know that this is a thing until you become a business owner or you work for a credit card company. And so those of you that own businesses of your own, you know what this is. This is the fees that you pay for someone to route the transaction data and process those transactions for you. And what happens is that yellow slice of the pie, companies that process credit cards can make that slice of the pie really, really enormous if they want. They can charge big, big fees and hide fees non-transparently all over the place for small business owners. And what we've ended up seeing is that the majority of the merchants that we work with, when we get a look at their credit card processing statement and we peel back the layers of that a little bit, we see that they're being charged oftentimes hundreds or thousands of dollars more than they need to be charged on a monthly or annual basis. And so the vast majority of the companies that Gravity helps out, we can save them between 3 and 8% every single month on their overall credit card processing fees. So this is one of the ways that we help businesses out. And a very, very brief view into what we do as a company. So our company, we exist to stand with the little gal or guy who believes in the American dream and is willing to work to chase it. This is our mission statement. This is what we're all about. And there are a lot of different ways that we try to help small businesses. One of the big ones I talked about is with credit card processing. So that's one of the main ways. And we can help with that in a lot of different avenues. So in this day and age, especially amidst COVID, there are a lot of people that are trying to take their businesses and transition them to processing transactions online or through a mobile device. And they don't maybe have capability for text to pay or mobile payments. They may not have any opportunity to do e-commerce either. And Gravity provides answers to all those types of things. So we've been working with a ton of different businesses throughout the coronavirus epidemic to get them set up with new technology and tools to compete in not only a fast-paced digital world, but to compete in this really unique pandemic world that all of us are in. And so any of you that are on the phone that are business owners or that know business owners that you want to refer to Gravity, these are some of the ways that we help them out. We help out with digital technology to help somebody compete in this day and age. Right now, we're looking to work with small businesses in a few specific industries. So we really can help out almost any business out there that needs to accept payment for their services, but we really are focused on these specific industries right now. And if you're interested in seeing this list later, this is actually up on our Small Business Champions page on gravitypayments.com. And we'll mention that link a couple times throughout this webinar because we want you to be able to get the information afterward. But gravitypayments.com, and there's a bar right at the top of the page that talks about the Small Business Champions Program. It has this whole list. So basically, this is the list of industries that if you know people that own businesses in these verticals, send them along over to Gravity. So I want to talk some about the Small Business Champions Program. So I'm going to talk for a couple minutes and I'm going to hand it over to Matt Sockaway on our team to explain more. So this is the Gravity website, www.gravitypayments.com. And you'll notice at the very top of the page, there's that button that says Learn More. So if you've already signed up for the Small Business Champions Program, you've already clicked that button. If you haven't signed up yet, and if you're interested after this webinar, I encourage you to go online, go on this website, click that Learn More button and get signed up. And basically what that does is it gets you into our system so then we can track any of the referrals that you pass along. And then we can also track if those businesses ultimately ended up signing with Gravity, if they become a Gravity client, then that's the point at which we would do a $200 referral bonus to you, or you can pass it along to the business. Either way, your call. So that $200 referral bonus, that's something that we've heard a host of different people have said that that might be something that can help them in a small way weather the storm as they go throughout coronavirus. And this is a way to have a little bit of supplemental income, is maybe you're someone that knows a lot of different businesses out there and you know that they'd be a good fit for Gravity. You can pass them along. If you're someone that personally you're in a pretty good spot amidst COVID and maybe you still have your job and you just want to give back to the small business, you can pass that referral bonus over to the company that you refer. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Matt Sockaway, who is one of our regional sales managers. And Matt will explain a little bit more about how this referral program works. And a brief background on Matt. Matt has actually been in the credit card processing world for the last 20 years. So he's a veteran, couple decades in this world. And he also has been with Gravity for 14 years, one of our most senior employees. So really pleased to have Matt here. Matt?
Awesome, thanks, Bobby. And just a reminder for everyone, if you do have any questions, please put them in our question and answer. We'd love to address anything specifically that's on your mind here. So thanks for the introduction, Bobby. Yeah, my name is Matt Sockaway. I've been with Gravity Payments now for 14 years, which is quite a long time. And during that time, I've mostly been on the sales floor interacting with business owners myself, primarily in Hawaii, but also up in Seattle and San Diego. So I really enjoyed my time just getting to interact with a wide variety of people that run businesses. And really the heart of everything that we're doing today is to allow ourselves a better opportunity just to make a difference in the businesses, the communities that we're in. So today what I wanted to do is just share a few tips to make this as easy as possible for each of you that are joining us today. You heard a little bit about the program, but I wanted to give you a few quick tips on who you can be asking and also 3 quick tips on how to ask. So the first one on who to ask, we found that our chances of being successful and actually helping a business owner goes up by probably 5 times when when all of the 3 following criteria are present versus when any of them are missing. So the first one, if you want to take notes here, the first one is that we meet with the business owner. And the reason for that is ultimately we enter into an agreement with the business owner and we really need to understand their concerns, the challenges they're facing, how we can help, any improvements that we can make so that we can tailor a program and a product specifically for them. And without meeting with the business owner, it really is difficult for us to understand that and really understand how we can best help. So that'll be the first thing, is that we need to meet with the business owner. The second one is, while we can help really anybody out there that's taking credit cards for the most part in different industries, there are specific industries or verticals that we're very well positioned to serve best. And just as an example, a big portion of our clientele are in the veterinary industry. And one of the reasons for that is we have special partnerships that allow us to provide online programs for free so they can process their credit cards for free. Or if they belong to a certain association, we have a partnership with that association that allows us to provide equipment for free. So there are a number of partnerships out there, a number of associations that we work with that really give us a significant advantage of some of the other options out there for merchants. So if you can kind of refer back to that industry list, those are ones that we have a very specific advantage or ability to help. Another example would be like a counter service restaurant, for example. So somebody that might be using an old school cash register, we can actually upgrade them to a POS system that allows them to enter their menu, send orders back to their kitchen, and actually set up this product to them really at no cost. Compared to the industry average of $2,000 to $5,000 upfront to set it up, it makes a huge difference for a merchant to be able to upgrade to something like that. So that's the second thing. It's in a vertical or an industry that we're kind of specifically designed well to help. And the last one, and this one might be the most challenging for some of us that know business owners, but the last one is that they do $10,000 or more a month in credit card processing. And the reason for that is we found that at that mark, we're usually able to save enough for them that would justify a change, or we could use the potential savings that we could offer and apply that to upgrading their technology for them. So another rule of thumb, if it's difficult to find out or figure out or guess how much they're doing in credit card processing per month, it's usually a business with an owner that has maybe at least 2 employees. So those are the 3 tips. So next step for you, just kind of a call to action here. After this, just make a list of everyone that you know, a business owner that you know that might be in one of the industries that we laid out there, and that is processing at least $10,000 a month. And if you can provide us an opportunity with a business owner that fit those criteria, there's probably a 60+% chance that we'll be able to provide something that will greatly help their business. So that's the first one. So the second one I wanted to share about is just asking, like how best to ask. This one is fun to me because I've got to interact with thousands of merchants over the years, and interacting with everyone is just, it really is a joy. It can be a wild ride sometimes. But I did want to give you 3 tips that I've seen that have made it most enjoyable for me and also most effective with the people that I'm working with. And the first one is just to be friendly. My grandfather, who became a little more honest in his older years, he used to tell restaurant servers, if they would just smile more, they could get more tips. And I remember I had another friend that said, you can actually pretty much say anything with a smile on your face and it'll be well received. So that really is my first tip, is just be nice, be friendly, be yourself, interact with the person just like you would, any other friend that you have. And the second one I think is really important too, and it's just communicating, especially in the times that we're in, that you really care. I mean, you care about their situation. Business owners have a level of weight and responsibility to our communities and to their business and the people working with them that some of us just don't really have or feel in the same way. So I would just really encourage us to be sensitive towards that and do our best to understand their situation and frame the conversation in a way that we really want to do anything we can to help. And this was an opportunity that you stumbled across somehow. Share that story about how you found out about Gravity Payments and what attracted you to this opportunity, and share that your desire is to help them, and you may have a resource that might be able to do that. And the last one is just be really specific with what your ask is. This is just a really simple one-liner that most of us will use. We'll just ask something along the lines, can I have a consultant from Gravity give you a 15 and 20-minute call to learn more about your situation and see if they can help? So just make it really simple. That's really all we're asking for, is just an introduction to someone that you think we might be able to help. So that's the next step after all this. If you can identify who those are, just create a little bit of a game plan on how you want to best approach them and just have fun with it. So next I wanted to hand this over to my friend Blaze. He's quickly become a very influential person in our company. He's actually in Iowa right now. He works with us on our Hawaii team, but currently in Iowa working from home over there. And he has done a great job interacting with business owners, actually finding solutions, and is probably one of the best guys that we have at really helping business owners that he works with make huge improvements in what they're working with. So Blaze.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. I'm going to take Matt's rule number 1 and just smile this whole time, and hopefully it's received well by you guys. But basically, I'm just going to share with you guys what happens after you provide a referral to us. It's super important to us that they're in good hands. It happens to us all the time. A lot of these people that you're going to be referring, you're going to take your family to that restaurant. You're going to get your car fixed at that auto shop. So it's just super important to us for you guys to know that they're going to be in good hands. And so basically after you submit a referral, we're going to get that information. We're going to give them a call or maybe go to the business and see if we can set up a maybe 15, 20-minute meeting, kind of like Matt said. And in that first meeting, this is what we review with everybody. And it's super casual, guys. We always just look at whether we can improve their software or hardware, whether we can improve their customer service, and most importantly to them usually is whether or not we can improve on their costs or what they're paying. And I always tell them, if we can't improve any combination of those enough to earn their business, it's not a big deal. But the good news is for Gravity is most of the time we can. And so after that first meeting where we gather statements, it's super important that they have statements for the first meeting. That'll give us the details to any of those hidden costs that Bobby was talking about before. And so if we have statements, we've gathered some information on what they wish was better, whether it's customer service, costs, or hardware, software, we're going to take that information. And a lot of times, we'll walk out of a place having a pretty good idea of what we can do to help them out. But sometimes it's pretty intricate, whether it's multiple locations or they have their eye on this need and it's pretty specific. We'll have to do some research. But the good news is we have a whole team that can help us research the best point of sale or hardware, software, whatever they need. So we'll take usually a day or so to go through that and schedule the next meeting, which will be the second meeting. And at that second meeting, we basically come to them and we say, hey, Mr. Business Owner, we got your needs and wants at the first meeting, and here's what we're able to do to deliver on those. And some at that time are ready to go. Cool, awesome, Gravity, you are great. You're gonna help me out in all these ways. Let's do the paperwork right now and schedule the install. But we completely understand that some people are moving from maybe just a physical terminal to a large scale POS. So they might need another day or two to think about it. Not a big deal. So after that second meeting, we'll schedule a third meeting to basically do paperwork and then schedule the install. And after we do the paperwork, which usually takes 15, 20 minutes, we'll schedule the install like I mentioned. And it's super important to us that the customer, the person you're referring, which some of them might be friends, some of them might be your favorite restaurant, that they feel like their hand is being held the whole time, or that they're getting that white glove treatment, that, there's no question about what the next step is or when things are going to be completed. And so after we schedule the install, if we're able to do it in person, I know on Oahu, we do everything in person. That's part of the reason I love it out there. We are face-to-face out in the community. And so we'll schedule that in-person install. Other businesses are like, yeah, shoot, just send me the hardware. I'll call you. We'll do a FaceTime and we can set it up that way. So we will mail it out or we'll show up in person at the scheduled time. And then we will walk them through setting it up. We'll do some training and we won't leave unless or until they're comfortable with the hardware or software that they purchased. And then if we leave, we're 10 minutes down the road and they have a question, they can call our literally industry leading customer service and get any questions or schedule additional training at no cost. So it sounds like a lot. The good news is between those 3 meetings, it might be an hour of invested time. So, between that 3 to 8% we're saving, sometimes that's $1,000, sometimes it's $22,000. That hour and a half of invested time can sometimes have a huge return. And then the whole process ideally takes maybe 1 week to 2 weeks. So this won't be a big time commitment. We try to get in, get out, and just be as clean and crisp as possible. And then just a couple of stories I wanted to share with some current merchants we had, and hopefully after we have some more referrals from you guys, we'll have even more great stories. But basically, one of the accounts we brought on not too long ago is called Damo Sushi, and the biggest need for them was just improving their hardware. And something as simple as going from one of those little terminals to a full-scale POS that just simply asks for the tip. The business owner, every time I go in there, she's like, "Oh, Blaze, I'm so excited to see you. the first like maybe month after I went in, she's like, our tips have increased by $600 a month. Went in there a few months later, she's like, Blaze, we're now getting about $1,000 in tips every month. So every time I go in there, I can't go in there in the middle of the day, because every time I go in there, I get about $25 worth of free sushi or poke bowls, and I can't eat it in the middle of the day or I'll get bogged down. So it's always a good time going in there, and just one of those positive stories of having a good impact. And then the next one, this one's about savings. So long story short, we were able to save them over $22,000 a year. It's a golf store. You go get polos, your golf clubs. And so, I guess my encouragement is don't think that any business is too big or too small. This golf shop was down in Waikiki, thousands of people traveling through there every day. And we were still able to help them out quite a bit. And they'd been with their processor for, I think, 12 or 13 years. So just don't be discouraged by the big businesses. Don't be discouraged by maybe somebody that you've seen had the same machine for 10 plus years. Sometimes those are the people that were able to help the most. So like I said, those are a couple of good stories. Hopefully we can have a lot more working with all of you. And again, just a reminder, all these resources will be in the Small Business Champion resources, and you can sign up and put in your information just by going to www.gravitypayments.com and going to the top of the website and registering from there. But other than that, I will get us right into the question and answer. It sounds like you guys have had some good ones coming in.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Blaze. Thanks, Matt. So we've had a number of questions come in, and we will get through as many of these as we possibly can. And then any of these ones that we're not able to get to on the webinar, we are planning to just follow up individually with those people afterward in any of those situations that we have the contact info to do that. So we'll just go through these. First one is, can I get a copy of the slides used during this presentation to view with potential clients? Absolutely. Yeah, so we are planning to take the slide deck and send that out to all of you after this webinar. If by chance you don't get that email in the next day or two, ping us and let us know, and we are happy to provide that to you. I think depending on how you signed up for this webinar, we should have your email address for almost everyone, but if by chance we don't have that, just let us know and we'll send the slides over. Next question was, can the Small Business Champion program lead to a more full-time position within Gravity? And yeah, right now Gravity is on a temporary hiring freeze. But what we're planning to do is, after we come out of that hiring freeze, this is actually one of the main places that we're hoping to potentially get future sales reps. And so if people end up performing really well in this program, this is kind of a trial run of just seeing how everything goes and who has business contacts where. And then potentially that could transition into a long-time referral relationship or a full-time position with the company. Matt, Blaze, anything you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, I was just going to add that part of why we even came up with this idea in the first place was to help people that are just in a position right now where their job is either kind of on hold or potentially they lost their job. So our desire very much is to partner with anyone that's in that position to help them out as best we can. And long-term desire would be to offer positions to people that might do really well with this. I would say that there are some people that have shown some great signs of success so far. I think we had one person refer us like 10 or 11 businesses within the first few days. So there's some people that have been really active so far, which is super exciting for us.
Next question, and Blaze or Matt, I'll let you take this one. Question was from Kathleen, who said, does Gravity offer a no-cost obligation for business owners to see their potential savings before signing up?
Blaze, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure can. Yeah, so the answer is yeah, there's absolutely no cost to the customer to see what their savings are, or even for us to do a demo. Absolutely no cost for that.
And I started in the company on our finance team, and our finance team's job is to basically run proposals for prospective merchants and to try to find all the different places that they could potentially save money. And we run those proposals all at zero cost, just like Blaze was saying. So it's pretty common for us to have a business that's just curious about getting a rate review. maybe they've been in the same relationship, same contract for 5-10 years, and they have no idea if their rates are high or low. And they'll partner up with us, get a free rate review, and then based on the output of that, they'll make the decision whether they want to jump or whether they feel like they're in a good spot. And honestly, for us, if somebody's in a good spot, they feel really good about their entire solution that they have and their rates and all of that, their service, it's totally fine for us to just say, hey, you're in a great place right now. We're actually happy about that because it means that there's not a company out there that's being screwed over by another business. But if we can help in any way, obviously we do. Next question that came in. For the referral, I recently moved from LA to San Francisco. My networking connections are back in the LA region. Would it be more difficult to provide a referral over email? Or is that something that you have to actually be physically located in the same place as your referrals? Matt, you want to take that one?
Sure, I would say you can absolutely send them an email and you can connect with them kind of like through our portal or sending the referral. I would say though that a phone conversation, I'm sure you can't get to them in person right now, but a phone conversation would probably be a lot more effective. I think to share your story and be able to check in with them and have it be a two-way conversation, you'd be 10 times more effective over the phone than you might be in an email.
Perfect. Next question. Do you have a matrix that shows what the different benefits are that you could potentially provide by business type? Blaze, Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
That one's tough because I think with each industry, depending on the size and their location, there could be dozens and dozens of options for them of what ways we could help. So the challenge with the matrix is it would get very complicated very fast. So kind of like Blaze was explaining, part of our first appointment with them is really just to understand their situation so that we can come back with like the 2 or 3 options that we think would best fit their business, because the solutions that we have aren't really a one size fits all. Every customer with us has a different customized pricing program. The nuances, even with the same type of system that we provide, it's going to be configured in a way that's like perfectly fit for them.
Okay. Next question. This is from Lauren. Can you do anything to help businesses that take recurring payments? For example, for some businesses that are now offering pickups and or delivery, they have to always ask again for our credit card info with each order. I think it's because unless they have a way to keep the info secure, they can't store the credit card numbers. Is there another way for them to do this?
Blaze, you want to take that one too?
Yeah, I can start away with it and then feel free to add to it. But the answer is yes. There's an online ordering platform that we have just been shelling out like crazy the last few weeks, maybe, excuse me, maybe 5 weeks. And then we have options too where a customer or the business owner can, excuse me, can place the order and store the credit card number, and then it'll basically give them a ticket that when they get there, they have the ticket number and can pay right there on the spot.
Okay, thanks, Blaze. Is the another question, is the $200 referral credit per location or per contract? Matt, you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah, short answer is it's per location.
Okay, perfect. Next question. It looks like 2 people asked the same question. Cindy and Andres both put, is this just for US customers? Last time they heard Gravity was only able to process for businesses in the US.
Yes, at the moment we are still focusing on US. Visa and MasterCard is divided up to different international regions. And right now our agreement and our relationship is in the North American, primarily United States region.
And Matt, just to add on to that, we do have a few businesses now in Canada, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, cool. Next question. Can you give us a 60-second pitch for why companies should switch? Or maybe some of the right questions to ask to help get someone interested?
Well, that one's perfect for Blaze. He's our resident expert on that. Blaze, would you mind sharing just like, I don't even think it's a 60-second pitch, it's probably a 10. And what's the first questions are that help like further engage for a good fit?
Yeah, a good one is whenever I walk in, I usually just say, hey, I just had a quick question. I do the credit card processing or point of sale for X and X down the road. Do you know who I might chat with about that for you guys? And then basically what separates Gravity or some of the engaging questions is just put yourself in their shoes. And it can be anything from, oh, are you guys currently doing takeout? Are you guys currently taking orders over the phone? You know, what's that like? What's the customer service like? You know, the last time you guys had an issue, you know, did you have somebody locally that you could connect with? Or tell me a little bit more about that. And I know I'm just kind of going fast, you know, obviously I want to pause in between questions, but from there too, you'll be able to see kind of how they're set up when you walk in as well. And if they're super busy, you can just ask them when they're not busy, you know, hey, say, I saw you guys kind of, you know, maybe had a few bottlenecks around lunchtime. Is there anything that would just kind of take a weight off of your shoulders if your point of sale could do this or that would make your job easier, and just kind of go from there?
That's awesome. I'll share one more thing because some of us might not be in front of the business at the moment, so it might be difficult for us to know what potential improvements can be there. So one other thing that we found is that our average customer that switches to us saves about 10% on their credit card processing, which kind of going back to that pie graph that you saw, we actually reduce the processing fees that they're paying to like the credit card processor, which in this case would be us or it could be their bank. We actually reduce that portion of the pie in half, and it works out to about 10% of the total fees they're paying, as well as on average improving 2.5 things outside of pricing. So something service related or something product related. So that's another easy way that you can just kind of quickly identify like how we might be able to help. You just let them know on average we can save about 10%, as well as find 2 to 3 other improvements outside of just pricing.
Great, thanks, Matt. And that's actually a great transition to our next question. We had a few questions that came in about interchange fees. So the questions were the interchange fees and card brand fees, who sets those, who gets paid those, and do those things change over time? So I can take that one. Like I mentioned before, I worked on our finance team for a while, I have my MBA, and have done a lot of forensic analysis on statements in my time at Gravity. So the interchange fees and card brand fees, those are actually set, and those do not change based on who you're processing transactions with. So the interchange fees get paid to the company that issued that card. So let's say you have a Capital One card that's a MasterCard. So Capital One issued the card, and they get paid the interchange fees for those transactions, and it's a MasterCard. So MasterCard is the card brand. MasterCard gets paid all the card brand fees. So every time I go and I use that card, I could go to a Starbucks, or I could go to, let's say I go to one Starbucks and it's processing with Gravity, and I go to another Starbucks and it's processing with someone else. The card brand fees and the interchange fees are the exact same for both of those transactions. Of me swiping the card, those parts do not change. They're just dependent on the volume of that transaction. And then also basically like the characteristics of when that card was swiped. It's not different based on who the processor is at all. The processing fees, those do change. So that's the part that, like Matt was saying, we can save big amounts of money for a lot of businesses out there, because that processing fees, that's all controlled by the processor. That's controlled by Gravity. And so we can oftentimes make that slice really, really small for the business, so they're not paying as much money there. And that gets back to what Matt said of like oftentimes 10% of their total fees we can cut out, and that's coming from our slice.
And just to add on to that, Bobby, there have been some instances where that processing little pie, that slice is like half of the pie. So this is just showing what it is for us, generally speaking. It might be 10, 15%, but there are some competitors that for them is actually about twice as much. I'm sorry, probably 3 or 4 times that, but equals about half the pie.
Take this out of presentation mode here, go back to our list of questions. All right, next question. How is the processing ever free, and how is equipment ever free? Matt, you want to take that one?
Sure, that's a great question. So I mentioned that the veterinary clinic, we do the online processing for free. And part of what comes with that is if we take the in-store clinic, then we'll give them a free product. And on average, the online processing probably saves them about $100 a month. So they don't pay anything. It's not just the portion that we would typically make from the processing. We actually are going to cover the branding, card brand fees, as well as the interchange fees, as well as the product that we're setting up, in conjunction with being able to do the processing for their clinic as well. And generally speaking, it's not like we're going to charge them more on the clinic to make up for the other part. We're still able to offer like a 5 to 10% savings on the clinic. And in addition to that, still be able to provide the processing on the online piece for free. Same kind of concept with the hardware. Our cost on hardware, like when we order it or when we provide it, we do have a one-time cost. And on some of the solutions we might be talking about for a restaurant, it might cost us $1,500 to set up just in actual hardware fees. And like I mentioned, our competitors might charge for that same system $3,000 to $5,000 up front. But instead of having any kind of upfront cost, or really any even monthly cost sometimes, we'll just put a proposal together that'll actually include the cost of that hardware with the pricing that we offer, and still have that be 10%, 5 to 10% less than they were paying with their other processor.
And Matt, it might be helpful to talk about how some processors sometimes will give away freebies, like free equipment, but then they hide fees elsewhere. Tell me about what you've seen with that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what this person is asking, is like, hey, is free really ever free? One of the things that we have seen out there is, like, this industry, as maybe some of you know, it can be very misleading in terms of some of the sales practices. So we have seen competitors say something along the lines like, hey, we'll cut your bill in half, we'll give you free equipment. And after they get their first statement, they realize they're paying more than they were paying before, and they're locked into a lease for $100 a month for 4 years on the equipment. But they were told something different. So unfortunately, 50 to 75% of the free and kind of the things that sound really good in our industry just aren't quite what they're made out to be. And a lot of times, a merchant doesn't discover that till after they get their first statement.
Okay, perfect. Next question, would a food cart business be a good fit for Gravity?
I'll take that one too. Yeah, we actually have a Spanish-speaking team up in the Seattle area, and probably a quarter of the businesses that they're signing are food trucks. I'm assuming that's what you mean by food cart, is food trucks. Those are popping up all over the place. I know Portland has hundreds of them. They kind of seem like they were the ones that got this food truck thing going. In Hawaii, we actually have them all over the place too. But Blaze, maybe you have a quick story about a Hawaii customer that we helped with food truck.
Yeah, there's a place on Oahu called North Shore, and if any of you guys have been to Oahu, it is definitely North Shore. And this might kind of lead into the next question too about customer service. It's like I said, it's a ways up there, but we treat every customer the same, and every customer deserves to get industry leading customer service. And this one happened to be about, probably with traffic, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where our inventory is. And a lot of times up there isn't that good of reception, whether they have a hotspot or whatever it is. And we'll get those panicked phone calls of, hey, this isn't working right now. Lunch hour, sunset is happening. Everybody's heading back into town to grab dinner. Can you help? And it was a pizza food truck. But, and so I guess I'll go into answering, how do you guys help improve customer service? When you call in, you're going to talk to a human. I think every year, I think our average answer time keeps going down. I think a couple of years ago, it was 20 seconds, and now I think it's 17 seconds. So if you call in, you're going to talk to a real life human. They're going to fully diagnose what the problem is, whether it's a fire that needs to be put out or somebody just needs to order paper. If they can't fix it over the phone, they've been taking notes this whole time, and they're going to kick a case to one of our deployment reps. At least on Oahu, they'll kick a case to one of our deployment reps and then schedule a time with them with the business owner to come and fix whatever the issue is. And so if it's a priority 1 issue or somebody just needs paper, we're going to treat whatever the issue is with the same urgency that you're treating it with. And so for this pizza truck that was up on the North Shore, sure enough, it was one of those things we couldn't fix over the phone. The support rep was taking notes, made a case to our on-call guy. Boom, he was on the trek up there. Ended up, all of our techs, when they travel with spare equipment. And so, they got something for everything. So we were able to get them up and running. Now, every time we stop by, it's always usually good energy and all that good stuff. And the most recent time before all this was probably like 2 or 3 months ago. I had some friends visiting, stopped by the food truck, got a free slice of pizza. And that'll happen more often than you guys probably realize as you start to refer your friends and families and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a fun story, free pizza.
So Blaze gets a lot of free food, I guess, here.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Hey, a couple other things just to answer about how we're a good fit for food trucks. We do have solutions that don't require a phone line or really any wired internet. They're basically on like a data plan. So the merchant doesn't have to have like a modem or anything in their place of business. So it's perfect mobile solution for them. And like Blaze was saying, if we do have people like in the area, we can be there and provide that kind of service. There are other places where we might not have somebody physically present, and that's when our 24-hour support desk comes into play. They're just a phone call away, and for the most part can diagnose anything right away. And if we do in fact need to get new equipment, we can overnight equipment. And a lot of times we are providing backup solutions too. So if the first solution goes down, they have a backup ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Next question, can you build online ordering functions for restaurants?
Blaze, you want to take that one too, since you've been working on a handful of these over the last month?
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby, can you repeat the question for me, please?
Yeah, can Gravity help out with online ordering solutions for merchants?
Oh, absolutely. We actually started like basically a whole department for this. Just when all the stuff started going down with COVID-19, we basically made a task force. So what happens is customers will reach out to us. We'll submit the case to our task force team for the online ordering. And if they are a current customer, we can usually have the platform up in 24 to 48 hours. If they aren't a current customer, probably 3 or 4 days. And the reason it's better than Bite Squad or DoorDash or things like that. Not necessarily from a software standpoint, they're all going to basically do the same thing, but DoorDash, Uber Eats, all those guys, they take what's called a commission from the business owner. And that can be up to 30% sometimes, and even monthly fees, where some of the option that we're providing during this time, there's no commissions. Whatever their processing cost is for the brick and mortar, it's going to be the same for the online ordering platform. And then for a small cost, I think like $9, if you don't have a website, they can make the website for you. And then to process through that is just another flat $30. And that's to the platform that we use. And like I said, maybe 24 to 48 hours for new business, maybe 3 to 4 days, but we absolutely have a solution for that.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any suggestions if the merchant is stuck with a proprietary POS system and or revolving contracts or ETFs?
Absolutely. So I would say, this is just a best guess, but I would say somewhere between 30 and 40% of the customers that come on board with us are in a situation where they're, I wouldn't say stuck, but they are obligated to something they're using. So we do have to find ways to help them either get out of a contract or provide a new solution for them because they were obligated to it. Some are more complicated than others, but I would say of the ones that we work with, 80% of the time we're able to come up with something that would make sense for them to still either break a contract or scrap a solution that they might have because of the costs that we can give them on pricing going forward or because of the improvements that we can make on the. That's a great question though.
Next question, how much business do you have on the Big Island? What is the time frame to install equipment there?
Yeah, Matt, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, we actually do have we've had a person full-time there for quite a while. She's actually part-time with us. She's on the Kona side. I think in terms of numbers, we have about 100 customers over on Kona side and Hilo side total. To set someone up there, we can still set someone up within a matter of like 1 to 2 days. Coronavirus does make things a little bit more difficult, so we might not be able to do it in person for the next month or two. But yes, we definitely can help businesses in the Big Island.
Okay.
And we actually, I think I saw somewhere down the list too. We are looking for someone longer term to be full-time with us on the Big Island. So really glad. If you're on the Big Island, we'd love to talk to you more about that in the future too.
It's a good plug. Next question. You talk about small merchants, but are you also interested in large businesses as well and working with them? Who wants to take that one?
Sure, I'll take that one too. So I would say that, as long as we're meeting with an owner and as long as they fit those other criteria, it really doesn't matter how big they are. We have solutions that can fit anyone from doing $10,000 a month or even less in some cases to upwards of $1 million a month plus. So we have chain locations. I think one we recently signed was a laundry service business, and they had, I think, 16, 18 locations. We have a parking group and a small fast food chain. I think one of our bigger fast food chains that's close to 100 locations. So absolutely.
Okay. Next question. How can we learn a little more about the POS hardware and software to charge both in on-site and online? If I'm talking to a merchant and they ask me this question, how do I answer that?
Hey, Blaze, go ahead.
Yeah, I can start with that one. First of all, I would take that opportunity to schedule a meeting, and boom, you guys potentially have a referral. A quick answer to whoever you're chatting with would be like, Mr. Customer, that's a great question. What I can do is I can schedule a time for Gravity Payments to reach out to you and answer all those questions for you. And when would a good time for that be? And then from there, enter them into the portal, and then you might have just gotten yourself a really easy referral where we now have an opportunity to educate them. They're now talking with a professional in the industry. Yeah, other than that, did I miss anything, Matt?
Yeah, I would just mention one other thing, and Blaze kind of touched on this, but just a reminder for everyone, passing along referrals and joining the Small Business Champion program, it doesn't mean that you need to be the expert on all this kind of stuff. A lot of the questions we've gotten have been really, really good questions, but also like really deep niche questions in the credit card industry. And we know that not everybody studies that all day, every day. So if you really just have a business that maybe a friend of yours owns the company, or that you go in and you frequent that business all the time and you know the owner well, that's a great contender for a referral. You don't need to know all the ins and outs and the guts of how the processing works and how the interchange fees work. We're happy to provide that for anything that we can. And a lot of that is actually in our referral page online. There's a referral kit there that shares a lot of this kind of information. But if you get questions that you're out of your depth to handle, bring us in and we can take it from there. And then that's still your referral. Next question. Does Gravity have the solution where the customer scans their items with their phone and then shows a QR code to the cashier? I'm not aware of that one. Are you guys aware of that?
I'd have to do some research. We work with big scale. We partner with over 300 point of sales. There's a retail, e-commerce, online point of sale that I basically get involved with anything that's happening online, and they do have that where you can scan a QR code, whether it's from a purchase that's happening or even with inventory. So the answer is yes.
Okay. Next question. Can you help businesses who sell online? Like, for example, they sell on Facebook and they currently use PayPal to collect payment.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of my favorite kind of parts to work with. I love working with businesses that are basically just hungry for infrastructure, hungry for expansion. Because there's so many awesome softwares out there. There's so many great people to work with that can take it from being successful on Facebook to being successful nationwide, if it's not already. And along those lines, giving you the infrastructure to expand and have data to make decisions and have your own referral programs, have your own customer rewards programs. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And I think we have time for a couple more questions. One of them is, how quick can the turnaround time be to sign a new contract and get equipment out and installed to a new business?
Yeah, that can be as little as a week. Sometimes we'll have one meeting and the flow will just be going great. It'll sound good. We can knock out the application right there. If the main things that we will need to bring an account on is a business EIN number and a void check. And then if we have those, by the end of the night, we can have it ready for our underwriting team to take a look at in the morning. And our underwriting team is great. They can usually do things, if they're not too backlogged, by maybe 24 to 48 hours. And then once you're approved, boom, we can install. So I've seen stuff get turned around in as quick as 2 days, 3 days. So yeah, we're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, perfect. And then we've had a couple questions about how to handle remote referrals. I know we talked a little bit about that earlier, but just to retouch on it, one comment was, I'm in New York City on pause at the moment. How will you handle meeting an owner when you can't physically meet? I intend to do email at the moment.
You know, about 75% of our current customers we work with without being with them face to face. So Blaze shared a couple examples because the majority that he's working with are face to face. But we have an inside sales team. We have different partner sales team that pretty much work with everybody over the phone. And in fact, the vet industry that we work with, we probably work with probably over 2,000 vets. And most of them, I would say 95% of them, we may have interacted with at a conference or something like that. But in terms of actually setting them up, we weren't actually there in person. So we have very great processes to be able to work with people remotely.
Okay, great. And then let's just do one or two final ones and we'll wrap up. So one question came in, how would you pitch contactless solutions like the smartphone scans and other contactless payments?
Blaze, you want to take that one too, since you've been working on that the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Bobby, I'm going to have you repeat it again. I was typing back an answer to one of the questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was just about how does it work for us to do contactless payments and how would you pitch that to someone?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the devices and hardware that we've been using recently is all contactless. The biggest difference between something, I guess, that somebody would use is it's either mobile or not mobile. So most of the time, everything that we install is contactless nowadays. But the ones that have kind of been flying out of our inventory recently are the mobile ones, because businesses that aren't usually curbside are now having to be curbside, and they don't want to have to take the card, run back in, put it in the machine, run back out. So we have options that you can take out to the car with you, similar to the device that we'd use for a food truck. It can connect to Wi-Fi, LTE, or a hotspot, or if there's no connection, you can still take the transaction. And then when you have Wi-Fi or hotspot, it'll process it then as well. So I would pitch it as, oh, is this a contactless device that you'd want to be mobile or stationary? And then from there, you can just say, awesome, that sounds like something Gravity could help you guys out with. Is that okay if I submit your information and they give you a call on this day at that time? And you're in.
Perfect. Thanks, Blaze. And then we'll make this our last question. This comes from Kara. What POS software do you all use? Is it always the same software? Last time I remember it was Clover, I believe. What are the features and benefits that you have around point of sale softwares?
That's kind of a big question, but a great question. I'd say Clover is one that we know very well. We have a lot of control over. It is a great fit for a certain segment of businesses. I wouldn't say everybody, but maybe 25% of the restaurants or retailers. It really is a really good solution for. Outside of Clover, we probably work with another 20 to 30 POS systems, or at least we can integrate with. So the level of control that we have, pricing, functions, features, it does vary from system to system. So without getting into tons of details about all those options, I would say, kind of going back to our consulting process, we really want to take a look at what somebody is doing or what they like to do, and we go out there and find the best solution for them.
Yeah. And then just to, go ahead, Blaise.
Oh yeah, I was just going to coattail off of that. The benefit of this is we don't have to walk into any store or any industry and try to get your friend or your colleague to use this one point of sale. Matt keeps saying the word consultant, and that's exactly what we all are. And that's what the benefit is of having all these relationships. We get to fully diagnose everything. And then we, most of the time, can come back with a list of at least 3 or 4 different options. And then your friend or colleague gets to pick the one that feels like the best fit for them.
Perfect. And one thing to pound home on this too is that we work with dozens and hundreds of different point of sale solutions. We can integrate with a lot of those players too. So it's a really seamless experience for merchants. We also have an entire division of our company that builds these integrations with software companies. So they are partners of ours, and we directly work with them and all of their merchants that use that software. So if there's a business like that you think might be a good fit as well, that it's a software point of sale company that seems to have similar values and heart for small business that Gravity does, we'd also love to learn about them. So just to conclude, thank you so much to everybody for joining us for this webinar. This is the first one of these that we've done for the Small Business Champions program, and we're really curious to hear your feedback. So we have a feedback form that you should be dropped off on after you leave the webinar, if all of that stuff is working right. If not, let us know. We'll send you a feedback form later. And if you ever have any questions about the Small Business Champions program, you can reach out to us on the website. So again, just a reminder, www.gravitypayments.com. Click on the link for the Small Business Champions program, get signed up as a referrer on there, and let us know if you have more questions. So thank you, everyone, and thank you to Matt and Blaise.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We really look forward to helping you out in whatever way we can.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.